If I go to view, there's a lot of things in here that you'll see different things that'll make this better for you. So, or similar to the way I'm doing. So that's under view, and we're going to go over this section in just a section. But first thing I want to tell you, you guys might be seeing a white background instead of the dark. I want to show you where you can get that and change that. So if you go to settings, which is under file, and then settings, you will see right here for a dark theme. Now watch, if I go to the default, which is white, very bright, the only reason that I don't do this a lot of time is because that white glares right back in my glasses. I'm a person that wears glasses. So if I'm doing something in OBS, I get that glare in my glasses. So I go to file, and I change it to the theme of dark. And you may want to do the same thing if you wear glasses, and then hit apply. I don't have to do this because I already have it set to dark. So I like to show that one first thing because a lot of people are like, hey, how come mine's white and yours is dark? Okay, so that's the settings for theme. That changes your theme from light to dark. View toolbars. Okay, so toolbars, if you look right here, list boxes. This one is not checked at the beginning when you first load OBS. So watch what happens when I hit list boxes. So down here, you see this plus, minus, gear wheel, up, down, and lower, and all that stuff. That's what it's talking about when it talks about this toolbars up here for the list box. Watch it go away. See how it goes away? So you may not have that. So what you have to do is you have to activate that. And I don't understand why you would want to get rid of that. And then you get to see all your docs. So you can view, you can turn some of these off if I don't want to show the scenes or sources or the mixer or the scene transition and controls. And this is going to be different from yours, okay? And if you notice, like the scenes, you have scene sources, scene transitions, mixer, and controls, all those things that were listed. And if you notice mine, like I can move this. See how it's undocked? So I can move these around. I can resize these anything I want. So if I want this smaller, I don't need that larger. I can do that. But I like to see that in the middle. So that's mainly what I want to see. And you can change these and you can move them. You can actually double them up. So if I wanted the mixer and the scene transitions together, that if you notice what happened, I don't know if you saw that. Now I just moved it over. Let me move it back over here. Okay, so let me see how it has down mixer and scene transitions. I can go from one to the other now. So if I wanted to bring that back out, I can put it like this, and then it took over with the sources. See how I'm doing that? So you have an opportunity to do those things like that. Okay, so now I want it at its own space, have it right here, and I can change that up. Okay? Like I have the controls up here. When I start and stop and do that, if I want to go to studio mode, I can just, studio mode, all that does is gives you a preview on the left, live on the right. So that way, if you want to make some changes, if I wanted to add a lower third right here, but I don't want to do that so it just snaps in. I want to do that so it fades in. And again, I know I'm covering a lot of stuff. I don't expect you to get a lot out of this right now. That's not what I'm going into. I just want to kind of show you what some of these menus and parts do. Okay. And we'll talk about this. But if you don't, if you don't want to see if the mic's on and all that kind of stuff, you can get rid of that. You can X out of the mixer. If you happen to do it by accident, oh my God, where's the mixer? This is where you would go back to your docs. And if you notice, see how there's no check next to mixer? You can click mixer and it brings it right back. Okay. And yours is going to look different than mine, possibly. This is just what has worked for me in docking all those. Now, once I have them set and I'm not moving them anymore, if I want to, I can go into docs. And if you look at reset UI, that changes back to the original of the way it comes in when you first saw it. If I want to lock the UI, watch what happens. I want you to look right here. If you look at each, like I'm looking at sources right now, I have the little X that I can close it out, or I can make it bigger or full screen. I can go to docs and I can lock that. Notice that goes away now. Now I can't move them. I can't do anything with them. They are set and locked there. So I got them locked down. So you can't move them around. You don't accidentally move them or change them or anything else like that. I can still resize. I just can't move them. One thing that I want to add while we're here, if you notice, I only have two for transition. So if I want to transition from one, so if I go from right here, the 7 folks, and I want to go to, let's say, the comment one, right now, see how it transitions. It's pretty fast transition. I have 300 milliseconds. I can make that 3,000 milliseconds, and this is about 3 seconds total, just so you know. 300 milliseconds there. See how much slower it is, the duration? So you actually get that fade in, fade in. There you go, and taking its time. But I only have 2 of those right now, cut and fade. So I can cut quickly or I can fade it. And notice that transitions right here is generic for everything because I'm not in studio mode. In studio mode, I can do some other things and add some transitions if I wanted to change that. But I prefer to do everything from right here. I know what's live right now. So if I want to add one, let's say I want to add, I'm just going to add let's say a slide. Okay. I added slide and I hit OK. And slide left, I can choose the direction, left, right, whatever. So I'll stay with left. That's fine. So now, since I have this chosen, I can go, now I go those, see how it slides to the left? I can make that for every single one that I do. So every time I do something, it's going to slide like that. I can always change it in the middle of the show. If I'm recording the show right now and I go to fade, I can always switch there and it does the fade then. So it's a way that you can do that during the show. So whichever one you want. If you say, hey, I want to do a quick slide or go somewhere, or I want to cut to this really quick. This next thing I want to cut to it. Boom, that's cut. That goes right to it. There's no delay. It just cuts right to it. Okay.
So that's a global setting. You can't set up each transition that differently, or is it?
Great question. Great question. So yes, that is correct. When you see it down here, okay, when you see scene transitions, this is talking about these scenes and scene transitions. Now, if I go to studio mode, okay, studio mode, I can add transitions. And then I can click on, like right here's a transition. This is the fade. It's on, or no, this is the slide, whatever I have as here. But I can also click this one and I can change it to a cut and that kind of stuff, okay? I can do quick transitions where I add one, like I might add a fade or a slide. See how it adds it? So now I have a slide. So I can, instead of doing the normal transition, whatever this is, cut, okay, to the next scene, or if I have this on slide, all right, if I have it on slide, then it's going to slide. See how it slides real quick? But if I want to do fade, I can click fade, all right, and then what it'll do, it should, I'm not going to a different thing, so you can't really see it fade. So if I fade, see how it faded quickly?
Yeah.
So you can have those right here, but you have to click it and then go up and hit transition. So it's 2 buttons you have to hit. I'd rather just stick with this one place. That's why I don't go to studio mode very often, but that's just my choice. Okay. So we talked about scene transitions and added one. We added the slide. Okay. And I think there's something that's been put in there to improve that. So each slide, what I do now, what I have with I have like, if I go to one word clue or a bonus round, when I recorded that video, I automatically put in what I wanted to do. So it's not even done by OBS. I just go to that transition and with my recording or editing software, I made the transition however I wanted. If it wanted to come out into a star, or if I wanted it to balloon or like an explosion, or I can do all that in my recording stuff. So I don't have to rely on OBS and I don't have to change this as much. So I almost always use fade unless one of these things I've added in that way. I don't want to confuse you or get confusing or whatever. All right, at this time, under scene collections, you'll see I have game show, and then when we do the H&M show, I have a different H&M show with an underwater scene versus a feedback scene. I do 2 different themes. I have H&M when we have a guest, and then I have the plus word with 3 team versus just a regular game show. So I have a bunch of different collections. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new collection. So when you want to do one, let's say you have one show and they're all different, or you have one thing that you do, but there's different shows that you have, and you want to create a different collection because you're going to show different things. In the game show, I bring in people, I do all this kind of stuff. In the H&M show, we're pretty much just Heather and I back and forth, so I don't need to do as many scenes. So this is why I do different ones. So I'm going to create a brand new one. So if I go to scene collection and new one, and I'm going to enter this OBS training, if I would spell it right. Okay. Can't type. All right. So I have a blank slate. There's my scenes, sources, all that stuff, nothing to do except for get ready to go into that kind of stuff. Well, we're going to create 3 scenes. I'm going to do and you can do this along with me. And if I go too fast, just slow me down. Listen, this is for you. I already know how to do this. So if you need me to slow down, just say, hey, slow down a little bit. Right here, I'm going to create one called intro. Okay. Okay, that's my scene. I got it. Now I'm going to create another one. I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call this one during, like this is during production. So this is like during the show. Then I'm going to create another one with closing. Okay, so I have 3 scenes. I have an intro, I have during production, and then I have closing. This first one, it defaulted and put a scene in there. I'm going to take that out. And to do that, here's add, here's remove. If you notice, I'm hitting the plus sign to add one and the remove side to -1, okay? And I can minus, are you sure you want to remove the scene? And I said, yes, I want to do that. Because this is what I want. Let's say, for example, I had intro in the wrong place and I wanted that at the end. I can use this arrow as long as it's selected. See how it's selected? You can kind of see that's highlighted. If I move down, I can put that at the end. I can put it wherever I want. Once I do the intro, like a lot of times my intro is at the very bottom, especially if I have 10 scenes. Once I do the intro, I'm done with it. I don't need to go back to the intro at all. So I can leave that at the bottom. So the ones that are working, I can keep those at the top so I can switch between those 2 scenes, etc. So a lot of times my intro is at the bottom. Unless I'm working on it or something like that. If you notice, like on the plusword one, I had it at the top because I was working on it. I was doing some work on it before I came in here because I wanted to change a couple things for our show.
Can you just drag them into order, Michael?
You can, I believe. Yes. You can see how I'm moving it.
Yep.
So I can move that right back to the top or down. Yeah, you sure can. And a lot of the things you can do like that. Like if let's say, remember I told you about the view and the toolbars, let's do it without that. So that's the way you would have to do it. See, if I don't have these toolbars down here, I can just drag it and put it where I want. And if I want to add a new one, let's just say I wanted, I'm going to keep these kind of sort of in order so you can kind of see. If I want to add one, I just right click. I right click with my mouse and hit add. I can add another scene that is middle production or middle show. Let's just make it so it stands out that way. So you saw how I did that? This is all without the toolbars down there. Still have the same functionality. It's all done with the mouse versus having it in your face. I personally like to have that just because I seem to go to that more often, but you can do it however you want. I mean, you can do it either way. It doesn't hurt or do anything. Now, I created this one and I really don't like the middle of the show one. It's just adding too many scenes. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I can right click on it. I can duplicate it, rename it, remove it. Okay, so if I don't like the name of it, I can change it. Let's just change that real quick. Okay, let's just make it middle production again, like this one. So now I have during production and middle production. So I just renamed it. All I did was right click and hit rename. If I like what I'm doing, or let's say I'm going to go ahead and remove it now. I'm going to delete it. Okay, are you sure you want to delete that scene? Yeah, I'm going to delete it. So let's say I love the during production, but what I want to do is I want to add a lot of the sources exactly the same way, but I want to add lower thirds to everybody. Let's say I have this as a video and what's going on, but I want one with lower thirds so I can go back and forth to them to take the lower third on screen and off screen. So what I can do is I can just take this, duplicate it. So now I have one exact, it says it too, but I'm actually going to put lower third. So now I have one during production and then during production with a lower third. So now I can just during the show, and I'll show you how this works. I can add a lower third just by clicking that scene. and then take the lower third off when I go back without a lower third. Now when you have a bunch of people in here, it's just going to give a generic lower third. It's not going to give every individual. You'd have to create one for every single person if you had 6 people and you wanted to do all those. But I can show you that too. When we get to sources, you can pick who it is. Whoever's talking on screen, you can go to their lower third and click that. But again, that can get tricky, and you really have to kind of manage that during the show. You'll spend more time sitting here clicking scenes than you will actually talking in your show and stuff. But I just want to kind of show you this area and the scenes of what you can do with that. So I can add one, duplicate this one, rename this one, remove this one. I can change the order. So I can actually move it up and down from right here as well. So if I wanted to move that there, I can. Okay, so I change the order. Okay, I can move it to the top or the bottom if I needed to move it there. Okay, and these I don't use, so I don't know a lot about them. Okay, so I don't know what that is. Okay, so just so you know, I don't know. I can add a filter. So if I wanted to, go ahead. Did somebody say something?
I was just laughing.
Okay. During production, okay, so if I go to the during production one and I go here and I want to add a filter, I can add a filter to this whole scene. So if I wanted to add chroma key to a whole scene, I can. So a filter would be like this. You go into effects and I can hit plus and I can add a chroma key. I can do all these other things. A lot of these things I do not use, but I could crop that whole scene. I can do all kinds of stuff as far as that. I do not do this personally in scenes. Where I do this, where I do my filtering, is in sources. This is where we get down to the nitty gritty here. And this is the part that's going to take some time. And there's a lot of stuff that we're going to cover. So do this with me as you're going along so you can get in here. Now that you've got these 3, and I'll leave the one with lower third just since I brought it up and we can show you. So I'm going to do it like this: intro, production with lower third, and then closing. I've created those blank scenes. So I'm going to go to an intro. I'm going to show you some of the things and how I do it like I said, I'm going to recreate the game show so you can kind of see. All right. When I go to sources, I can add same way, right click and add. Okay. Can add any of these things that are listed here. You got audio input, audio output, browse source, color source, display capture, game capture, image slideshow, media source, scene, text, video capture, window capture, deprecated, text free type 2, a lot of stuff. There's about 4 of those that I use. Okay. I'm not going to go into all these because we could spend probably 6 to 8 hours going over every single one of those. So I'm going to show you how I do it and what I do to make it easier on me. And it works. Anybody that's seen my shows and stuff sees that it works. Okay. So I'm on the intro. First thing I want to do is that's the video. That's that cool video that I put at the beginning of the show. So I'm going to go get a media source. Okay. I'm going to go get a media source, and all a media source is a video, and I use it for sound files. That's a little hint or trick right there. If I want to bring in sound or I want to bring in a video, this is where I do that. Okay. So media source, I go to media source. I'm going to name this our game show intro. Okay. So I'm going to bring in the game show intro. Now it's going to look for a local file. Do I want to loop this? Sometimes you might want to loop it if you just want to have something going over and over and over, but no, I don't want to loop this, okay? Then it says restart playback when source becomes active. So when I go back into the source, it'll restart from the beginning. Sometimes you might want to do that. Sometimes you may not. Like if you notice during the game show, after I go to each person or each team, I have it restart from the beginning with that sound. And that's where I would check that. So I don't need it to. Okay, because I'm only going to do it one time when I do the intro. If you wanted to use an intro as your outro, then you would want to maybe click that because you want it to start from the beginning as you did from before. If you're using a different video for your outro, then you wouldn't need to do this. I hope you understand where I'm talking about on that one. Okay. Hide source when playback ends. This just helps on your CPU usage. If you have not a lot of RAM, this will hide that source when the playback ends so it doesn't sit in your RAM. So that way, if you were to start it back up, it'll take a second before it comes on screen, especially if you have lower resources. I don't like to do that. I mean, on the intro, because I only do it once, you could certainly do that. There's no reason for that source to be sitting there because I only do it once. So this is one instance where you would want to leave that as off. Okay, so I'm going to browse for it. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to try and find the intro, which is the 8.7 is the latest one that I have, and hit open. Okay, so there it is, and I hit OK. So now it's in there, and you can see it actually playing. You can see it going. Now notice how small it is. Okay, you're going to learn some cool tricks right here and how to do this kind of stuff. What you can do is right click while in here or while on that image, and I can go right down here to transform. Okay. When I'm at transform, I can change this to, these three things down here are very useful. Okay. I can fit to screen, which is what I'm going to do because I have it set to the proper width, size, and etc. I can stretch the screen. If you have something that's in a square form and you have black borders, but you want it to stretch and fit, that's when you would do stretch screen. Okay. Or I can do center to screen. If I want to bring it just to the center, make sure that it's centered, I can do that. I just hit center to screen. So I'm going to right click, transform, and then fit to screen. Okay. So before I do that though, you saw the shortcut. Let me go back to this. Now I have to select what I want. I'm going to right click, transform, and see the Control F. I have learned that. I do this so often. I just hit Control F and boom, it's done. Since we had this set, if I go to during production and then switch back intro, it starts all over. I have it where it'll start off anytime I click that scene. So that's how I get it to fit the screen. Let's say I wanted to add an image or a camera or something off to the side, then I wouldn't want it to fit all the way on the screen. So if I click on one of these points, I can bring it over like this and have a section to the right, okay? Which kind of gives me black bars above and beyond. So that's not really what I wanted. So now I have to take a corner and let's say, okay, that's better. Now I want to do something here. Here I could have something like scrolling text below and maybe have my image or some pictures or something over here to the right. I can do that because now I can have that if I want to add that to my intro or even add a camera. If they want to even kind of give them a behind the scenes before we get started kind of thing, you can do something like that. Just by changing the size of this, I can do those things. Okay, just showing you that that's a possibility and you can do that.
That's one thing. The other option you have in there is stretch to screen. So you're going to do that with an image that's not 16:9, but is it going to change the resolution as it does that? Or is it going to, how's it going to react?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It'll be skewed. It'll look funny. Try not to do that with videos if you can help it. Just have your video as its original size and center it and have the black bars, because as soon as you stretch a video, now some images are fine doing that, but if it's like a logo or something and it's just too much, that can get really skewed as well. So
is it best just to create all of that stuff in 16:9 right from the beginning?
Yeah, I would say yes. Especially if that's what you're going to present in, yes. Unless you're going to present everything in just a square, then you're fine. But if you're going to present in 16:9, then yes, absolutely. We have the game show intro. So that you saw how I did that. You saw how I brought that in. A couple quick things I'm going to show you is I'm going to go back to the intro. Now, if you notice right here, you have an eyeball. I can turn that off so it's not showing. If I click that eyeball again, you'll see that it does show. Then there's a lock. I can lock that. Okay. And this is going to become more important in the next couple that I'll show you, as opposed to in this one, because there's only one thing in there. Okay. So let's get right on to that. But I just want to show you those things. And I can always rename from right here. I can rename it. You know, if I don't like the word game show intro. I just want game intro. I can go in here and just change it to game intro, and then boom, it's there. Okay, so I can change that. I can still do all those things there. Okay, so during production, now we have a whole new thing, and we have sources. Okay, so sources are, let's just bring in a camera. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in a camera. All right, so I want to do capture video capture device. Okay, this is bring in my camera. Okay, so video capture device would be my, I'm going to make this one my C922. Okay, hit OK. All right, so it automatically gave me device Manicam, which I don't want Manicam. I said I wanted the C922. Well, I have a C920, a C922, another C920, and then I have a capture device. I have all kinds of stuff. But as I mentioned, I want the C922. If you're C920, this is a very confusing if you have other software. Like in Zoom, I'm using one of my C920s. Well, if Zoom is using my C920, I can't bring in my C920 in here, okay? I have to bring in a camera that's not turned on yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the C922, like I mentioned. Now it's out there. See how it's, and it's a square one, okay? I can deactivate and activate. And a lot of this stuff, I'm not gonna go into this part because like I said, we could spend all day going over this stuff. But when my camera shows up back there, I'm good, okay? That usually tells me that, hey, it worked, okay, that's good. But there's all kinds of stuff here that you can go into along with capturing audio and stuff like that from your camera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When your camera's on, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm not gonna go into detail on that. It's maybe for an advanced thing, but I just wanna show you how I get the camera in. Okay, now I have a green screen and a camera, and here's my center point, so I kind of get that. What I want to do is I want to get this in a spot where I can use where that game show or where I'm going to pull somebody in or something like that. And I'll show you that in just a second when we get into that kind of thing. Now, I also want to bring in, and this isn't going to be exactly the game show, but I'm just kind of showing you how you can bring some of these things in. So a browser window, let's bring in a timer. Okay, so what I'm going to do, can you see when I bring this in? Do you see that? That's my browser.
Yeah.
Just nod. Okay, everybody sees it. Okay. So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to click, and I'm going to bring in the timer. Okay. I have a website where I already have the timer already there that I go to, and I use this every single time for my games and stuff, and also the timer before the show on the H&M. So what I do is I just sit here and I have this over a little side window. Okay. And I can pull this down here and I can set a, let's say a 15-minute timer before we start. Okay, so 15-minute timer, reset it, and boom, that's my timer. I don't even have this showing anywhere. I could have it hidden underneath another window. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in plus window capture. See right here where it says window capture. And this is going to be my timer. Okay. I'm going to hit OK, and there it is. It's pretty smart. Countdown timer right here. It's pretty smart. A lot of times it'll find it for you, okay? But you may have to pick it. Like let's say it came up to my Manicam window. Well, I didn't want the Manicam window. What I wanted was the timer. I can always pull down this list, which I'm just pulling down that list and hitting timer. That's exactly what I want. Now, you can see the cursor. You kind of see it doing its thing and stuff. I don't want to capture the cursor because it's a timer. If my mouse happens to mouse over on my window over that timer, I don't want it to show that way. So I can take off the capture cursor part, okay? So you don't see the cursor. I'm going to hit OK. So now look and see how I have it. This is going to be a perfect example of what I was talking about, cropping versus versus moving. Like I can make this bigger. If I just take a corner of this, I can make it bigger, okay? Or I can make it much smaller. I can do it however I want. But if I wanted to crop that, I'm going to hold down the Alt key and I have to move in. So if I hit, while I'm over one of these circles, you see these circles? Just let me know that you see the circles that I'm talking about, those little round circles around the edge. Okay, so I have those. I'm going to take this corner and hold down Alt, and I'm going to move that in to where just the 15 is showing. Okay, I'm going to take the top corner and bring it down. So again, just the 15 is showing. Okay, so now I have that, and I let go. I let go of the Alt key, and you can do this along with me, any window. If I'm going too fast, take your time, do whatever. It doesn't matter. You can take any window and do this, just so you know. Now I can take a corner, and I can make just that 15 as big as I want. Now, if you notice over here, I can move this, and it doesn't matter. That 15 stays in place no matter what, because all it did was captured that window. So I can move that off screen, set it up behind my browser window, and not worry about it anymore. The only thing I have to worry about is starting it. So when I go over and click the start button, you don't even see it, but there it goes. I got a timer. So now I can place this timer right here. Okay. I can put it right down there in the corner. I can actually put it on top of the video. But look what happens. See, now notice here, timer is on top of C920. If I move that up or down, if I move that C920 up, you're like, oh my God, where'd my timer go? I've lost my timer, but it says it's right here. It's visible. Where is my timer? Well, remember I said it's on top. It's back there. You just have to go get it. So the timer I can bring down, and I'm doing this manual. Oh, wait, see, oh, why is it not going on top? I want it to be on top. How come that's not working? Because it's not on top down here. So I can right click and change the order and move to top. I can also move it here, drag it down, see how I move that, or I can use these arrows here. There's 3 ways to do the exact same thing to get what you want out of that. That's way too big though, because I want it to actually be like right here. Or I might want it, because I'm timing the whole show, and I might want to come back during the video and say, hey, look, if you go into the video and you see time stamp, whatever, whatever the timer is, you can say, come into that point, because you're going to have a 45-minute show, or you can do a reverse timer. You can do actually a stopwatch kind of thing, so you can do that. So now if you look, I can click. If I click, oh, I meant to hit the timer. I didn't mean to hit that. If you have things that are close to each other and you go and you, oh, shoot, I hit the wrong thing. See how it's hard? Like, it's hard for me right now to click that timer. Okay, finally I got it. But if they're right next to each other, like it's difficult to choose that. If you're having that problem, lock your C920. So now the timer, no matter where you click, is the only thing that can be clicked. I cannot click. I'm trying to click right now on the C920. That's why you lock. That's why it's important to lock. A lot of times you'll see, I do that in my shows because I have so many sources. I need to lock them and work on them one at a time and get them in place wherever I need to get them. Okay, so now we have a timer. And I'm going to unlock the C920. So I have that. I got that. Okay. So now I've got those 2 things. Now let's go to, I'm going to do the same thing the same way that I did before. I'm going to go to my browser. I'm going to show you how I bring in like the scorekeeping stuff. Okay. All that is for me is I can bring in my scorekeeping for YouTube. That's it. So really all it is a Google Sheet that I do that on. Okay. And so as the game is going, I just sit here and I enter in, the points. I just go 1, next person, next person, next person. That's what I'm doing. And you notice right here, it changes everything up in this black area. So really out of this whole sheet, all I want to do, and if I give them points, if I give 10 points here, you see it adds it to the points right there. And then Terry starts the next round. Boom, it tells you right there. I have all this in formulas that make all this happen, but all you see is the actual score of what's happening. I'm doing all this during the game, but this is all you see. So I have this sheet, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture, and I'm going to show you, again, this is off screen, okay? I'm going to add, again, a window capture. When I add the window capture, I'm going to put score. Do I have a question? Are we good? Good, okay. So I'm going to just make this one and call it score. Look, see, it found it again. Scorekeeping YouTube, it found it. Out of all this stuff that's open on my computer, it found the scorekeeping one, which is ideal. And I can see it showed up back there, so we're good. Again, I don't need the capture the cursor, because if I hover over that, you don't need to see my mouse moving around if I happen to go on that screen. So I'm going to hit OK. So now I have it. Again, somebody help me out. How am I going to make this the size of just the score, the black area, and nothing else on the spreadsheet? Just anybody can blurt out if you have an idea.
Press Alt and resize it.
Alt and resize. So I'm going to take the bottom corner in this circle. I'm over the circle and I hit Alt, and I'm going to drag it up so it's right there to that edge. Okay. I'm going to take the top left corner, do the same thing, bring it down there, and boom. Barely read it, right? Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it kind of big. So now you can definitely see it. It's got a black background, so it fits right in with my black that I have on screen already. So there we go. So now I have that. I have everything. I have everything the way I need to do. Who starts? I have everything possible. And then I have a timer. I have all kinds of stuff that I'm doing, and it's cool.
And thank you for not showing the final score.
No worries. No worries. So I showed you how to bring in a camera. I showed you how to bring in the score. I showed you how to bring in so Windows stuff. I showed you those two things. Now let's bring in an overlay. Okay, so now I want to bring in an image. Okay, that's an image right here. I can bring in a media source or an image. A media source would maybe be like a video or something like that, a video playing in the background, which I showed you under media source when we did the intro. That was a media source. Now I'm bringing in just an image. And I want to do a PNG image because I want to see my face show through. So we're going to call this, I'm just going to call this the game overlay. And I have no idea where this is because it's been so long, but I'm going to try and go find it for you. Okay. So browse. Okay. So now I got to go find that. I'm going to try and go find it. Here's all of the scenes that we have, and I'm going to hit open. Okay. And remember, it comes in the size that it is. And does anybody remember the shortcut on how to make that fit to screen? Does anybody remember?
Oh, F something.
Control F. And it's actually transform. So if I'm right here, I can hit Control F, and boom, it takes over the whole screen. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, I see it. But where is everything else below it? Why can't I get that? Oh my God, that's scaring me. I just lost everything. Remember the order here is important. I can put everything, I can move this down to the bottom. So I'm going to lock all of these so I don't mess with any of those, but I'm going to take that game overlay and I'm going to drag it all the way down, or I can move it with those. Now that's nowhere near what I want it to do. Okay. I'm still on the game overlay. What I want to do here, I'm going to right click. And remember I said about filters a while ago. Now this is the time where we do filters, because I want to get rid of that green. So I'm going to filter, plus sign, add a chroma key, and watch. All I have to do, chroma key is fine, because so I know what it is. And look, it took it away. It automatically did it. It did it for me, which is so cool. You can always adjust. If it's not doing right, I can adjust the similarity as the biggest one that you can move to make this happen. But I'm going to close and see what happens. Very nice. So now I have the overlay as the bottom thing, but my camera, I'm going to unlock that now and work with my camera. My camera is not really where I want it. I choose it and it's cool, but it's on top. I don't want it on top. I want the camera actually below so I can frame it out. So what I have to do, if I want it below, what do? I hit the arrow down. Now it's below that black area. See, I want it to just stay in that window. Now, because this is green screen too, you have to be real careful. But before the show, before I start every show, this is what I'm doing. I sit here and I have to align and put in everybody's. So I'm going to take a corner, hit the Alt key, and I'm going to, actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm just going to expand it right now. I'm going to get to this corner, and I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to expand it. Boom. So I got the whole thing taken, and I'm good right there. Now I'm going to actually take this Alt and move this up so it's not covering this other window. So it's not covering this one. So now you can see how I fit that right in there. Like my fingers go off screen because it's in the green screen area. It's actually, if you look at that, you see I can make this a lot bigger, but that's what's being controlled and that's what's there. Does that make sense? It's like layers. It's like having a window that shows through, and you put the window on top. If I put the window on bottom, then I'm always going to be on top. See how it's out of line and all that kind of stuff. But if I put that window on top, now you see me looking through the window, and that's what helps there. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'm going to move my score because I don't want that right in the middle, but I want it right here, and I want to adjust that size-wise. I'm just taking the corner. I'm not doing Alt or anything because I'm not resizing that, but I'm putting the score down here. So now that's in an area that I can use. It's really kind of cool. I have that and that kind of thing. Everybody sees that?
Yeah. Just a question though, when you went into the chroma key to get rid of the green that you brought in, you have to select the color that you want to get rid of, right? It's not.
No. Did you see that it just did it?
No, I understand that, but I noticed in your chroma key, it said green. So it's not adding colors, it's removing colors.
It's removing green.
Right, okay.
From that particular thing. And I think it defaults to green, so because everybody assumes that everybody uses a green thing. So This is cool. I like I still have green behind me though. What would be kind of neat is if I had like a red color. I want to put a red color back there. So how can I do that? Okay, first of all, I'm going to go to my camera. I just moved the score just so everybody stay within thing. That's cool. I'm going to unlock my camera, and I really want to get the green on my camera out of there. Okay. So now that I have my camera selected, I don't have the overlay, I don't have the timer, I don't have the score, I have the camera selected. So you can see it highlights, it puts the little red lines around it. So I can right click on that image and go to filters, or I can go right here where it says C922 and I can go to filters. So I want to right click and go to filters, and I want to add effect filter. Okay. And again, I'm going to select chroma key, hit OK, and look at there, it took it out. Okay. Now it looks pretty good back there. I got a black. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. Now, one thing that I can do that's kind of cool. Here's another choice that you have as a source that you can add. I'm going to add a red color source. Okay. And I'm going to make this one a red. Okay. So it's a red background. Make source visible. Sure. Hit OK. I go into select the color that I want, and I'm going to go with this red right here. Hit OK and hit OK. Okay. Now see right there. It's obviously not. I'm going to stretch this one. I'm going to transform, stretch. So that way it does cover the whole screen. But you're saying, well, where'd everything go? Remember, it's the order. So it's real important to get the order right. So I need to bring this down, see how everything coming back, and then boom, there you go. So now I have a red behind me, but I also have a red behind this person. Now, what's important about that red behind the other person? They have to have a green screen as well in order for the red to show. If they do not, it's just going to have their background there, which is fine by me. And if you look at this, as soon as I put another image, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in the zoom image. Okay. I'm going to bring in a zoom image. And by doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click that source. Now, which source would you think that would be? Display capture or a window capture? Because it is a window. I believe it is a window. Let's just see if it is. If I click window capture and I put zoom and I hit OK, let's see if it comes up. Did it pick zoom? Yep, there's Zoom meeting. There it is, Zoom meeting. Okay, so now I have the Zoom meeting. Okay, and hit OK. This is what it looks like over on there. Now, I don't want all of that stuff on there. I just want whoever's speaking. So I'm going to take the corner as we did before, and I just want to take and capture just inside of the area that I want. So if I want just the person that's speaking, let's say I just want the speaker and their video and whatever, and if I get centered here, I have to find that. I'm centered with my camera. I'm off to the side right now because I'm working on something. But okay, so this is the now I have it, and I can resize it to whatever I want. I can take whoever's speaking and I can put that in there, and somewhat, just so there's no red showing through. And here's what I was talking about. No red because I don't have a green screen over here. Okay, so that's why the red's not showing through. So they would have to have a green screen in order for that to come through. Now, this is on top. It's not within the lines. So what do I want to do? I have to move that. Remember, get it behind the window. So I scroll down, scroll down, scroll down until I see it disappear. Now, I've got the one up top. I got the one down bottom. Boom, I'm good to go. Okay? Now, one thing, I'm going to lock that. I'm going to go back, lock the red. I'm going to go back to my camera because if you notice, this bugs me. You can see a little bit of red showing. That drives me crazy down below me. I don't want that. I want that off screen. So I'll move it down accordingly. So now it's set. So now I'm going to lock it. So now everything's locked. So anytime, see there? Kind of cool, isn't it? Everything's behind the window. Everything's there. Now I want to pop a logo in here too. Which one am I going to choose for a logo? Image. Image. So this is my logo. Okay. I'm going to go to OK. I got to go choose it. Plus. Oh, boom. Hit OK. And there it is. Again, it's pretty small. It's over here. I can drag a corner and look at that. Put it right there. And it's on top of anything. I could actually have it in between. So you could have, you know, if you had your logo in between, you could do cool things like that because it'll overlay those two windows. I don't really want it covering the score. I don't really want it covering the timer, but this is a good spot up here. I can put it right up here. So I've just filled in my page, built my page, got it all taken care of. Does anybody have any questions at this time? I've added all kinds of elements and different things. Does anybody have any questions? All right, so we're on the intro and back on to that scene and showing you the music playing. Okay, so we have the game and the music playing. If you go to the gear wheel here, you can go to Advanced Audio Properties. Does everybody see that? Advanced Audio Properties? Okay. Here's the thing here. The monitor's off. You can't hear it. I can't hear it in my headset. I can monitor only, so it's just me hearing it. Okay, so now I hear it. And then to make you guys hear it also, to make it with the system sounds where you can hear it, everybody can hear it as we're monitoring, to be monitoring and output. So then everybody would hear it. Now, I would turn that on to that or monitor off. I would just do it accordingly to whatever I wanted to do there. So that's where you would monitor it. Okay, that's just monitoring. That has nothing to do with the sound going out. This right here, if I go to intro again, you see it bouncing the green?
Yep.
If I'm in a live stream, they're getting that sound unless I click this right here. The speaker, you see how it's not bouncing? It's still playing, but it's not bouncing. They'll say, hey, we don't hear anything. That's usually when I get the messages from all you guys. Hey, we don't hear anything. There's nothing going on. I'll go, oh my goodness. Okay, let me turn that back on. Now they hear it. Now they hear it. Okay. So that's the choices and differences that you have whenever you're doing that. Now, I don't hear it personally right now, but if I were to change this with the gear wheel, go to Advanced Audio Properties, and I go to Monitor Only, now I hear everything being said and sung and the music, whatever. I hear it. If I don't want to hear it, I just go up, I go right here and turn the monitor off. Okay, so now I can't hear it. Now the audience can't hear it. Now they can hear it. Okay,
So
that's
as long as it's bouncing, it's streaming.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly right. So that's on the intro. That's with sound, and that's those kind of thing. In production, you see how when I went change scenes, how it just it's just sliding. It's the duration. I want to make that a little bit longer. Okay, for the fade, and I want to go to there. So the intro takes a while to get there. I go during production. See how it takes a while to get back? You can make that fade whatever you want. Change that to whatever you like, okay? And if you want to add that slide, we can add a slide. So now the slide is a choice there too. I want to slide from the left. So it can be, and it's still at 3,000, so I can go intro, slide, boom. That's kind of cool looking actually. That's kind of neat. So when this is all over and I want to come back to the production, I can slide right into production. That's kind of neat. It's really some cool stuff that you can do with these kind of things. So that's the different scenes. So you have an intro scene, you have the during production scene, and then we're going to end up with a closing scene. Okay, so, but what else? I'm going to show you real quick that I can do a during production lower third. Okay, let me just add that. Okay, so we have nothing. What I actually want to do is I want to duplicate this, because all I'm going to do is add a lower third to these two people. So I'm going to right click and I want to duplicate. Okay, I want to duplicate. And we're going to go ahead and call it right now during production number 2. Okay, it automatically moves it to the end. I'm going to move it up. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to right click and delete, or remove, excuse me. Or you can hit the delete key on your keyboard too. So when I do that, I remove it. So now I have during production, which is this, and then I have during production 2, which is exactly the same. What I want to do here is I want to go in and I want to add an image. Okay, so I'm going to go in and add an image, and I'm going to call this lower third. Okay, and this would have to be created ahead of time and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to go into, let me go to the H&M show, since I know we have lower thirds there. Can't remember where I put them. Lower third, there you go. Michael Daniels, lower third, right there. And you can see it, put it up back there. So there it is, kind of cool. Okay, so now I have that. And now it's its own thing. I don't need that full thing. So I'm going to go up, hit the little red circle with my Alt button and bring that down, because this is all I really need to see. Okay, it's not quite the right size. I need to bring that in. So it's like right here. Okay, if I wanted to bring that in, I could bring that right here. Maybe get it a little bit bigger. Okay, so, and then I can, where it is, I can bring it. Now I'm going to move it down. I'm going to lower it. This is why it's kind of good to have those arrows, because you can see when it disappears behind the black. There you go. So now it's back behind. It's kind of funky here because of this corner, but I don't need that. Remember, that's all white space. So what I can do is I can actually hit Alt again and move this over to the side. So now it's just there. Okay.
Could you not just drag it one more and actually get it behind the video in that lower window?
Possibly. Let's do that and see. Since you mentioned it, let's just try it. Okay. So now if I go one more below the zoom, there you go. Now it's behind. There you go. See, you're learning already. So now it looks like it's built in right there, and I already have it back there. I want to duplicate this. I want to show you that I can duplicate a lower third. I want to copy it. Remember, they use different terminology now. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it. Okay, so now I have a second one. That second one, I'm just going to move down here now. Okay, and again, same thing. You want to move it down to where it's below that, and you should be good. There we go. So now I have both of those with a lower third in those two spots. If I'm doing an interview with somebody or something like that, I have both their names and that kind of stuff. Okay. So now watch what happens. What's cool is if I'm back on fade, okay, what's neat is well, I just did the intro, okay, all right, and I'm coming to the during the production. So now I have the during the production, and let's say we're in the middle. I'm in the middle of the show. This is recording right now. I want to do their lower thirds. If you look, those lower thirds come on, and it looks very graceful. They faded in. Very nice. And then if I want to take it back off, I just hit this one without the lower thirds. The other thing you can do too, since I have this set up now, if I'm in studio mode, okay, I can go over to, I can turn this off. See how it turns it off? The lower third, see how it turns it off automatically? Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So what I can do is I can go from, I can stay in this scene. This would avoid you from even having to have this or this. I'll just show you real quick. So now on the right-hand side is what's live. Nothing, no lower third, nothing. Everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I'm going to, because when I edit, I'm editing whatever's on the left-hand side. That live production's going on over there. Okay, that's going on. I can change and I can add the lower third. See how this has a lower third in the preview, but this doesn't over here? Here's another way of doing exactly what I just did. I'm going to transition into that. Now watch what happens. Boom, I can do it that way. Okay, I want to do fade. I'm sorry. I want to do fade, and the reason I want to do fade is because it's going to look better because it's just going to change that particular image instead of sliding in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Maybe not. Okay. So now I'm going to turn on lower thirds on the left-hand side. I'm going to fade in to the right-hand side. So what happens is you see the lower thirds transition in because it's taking the left-hand picture over to the other picture. So if I go to during production, like this one without the lower thirds, this is how I take the lower thirds off in the middle of the show. Boom, like that. Okay, this is just another way of doing what we were doing before. So now I can just transition between both. I can just periodically bring in a lower third. I could bring in their Twitter information or their whatever and all that kind of stuff. I could have that as a preset. So that way I can choose to bring that in and leave it off. So I can just go back and forth. I can add another overlay right here, add one that has all their Twitter information and just a line below that. So I could do that kind of stuff. I gave you a lot of stuff today. One last thing I'm going to do.
Can I just ask one thing before you move on? Sorry.
Sure, absolutely. No, you're fine.
When you added the lower thirds, now, and this is probably a unique situation because you're in there twice, but you copied and pasted that second lower third.
Uh-huh.
Could you not have just added it by adding an existing scene or an existing source? Like if you click on add, does it not give you the option to use existing and that lower third would be there somewhere?
No, remember it's copy. I'm copying that. I'm copying that source and then pasting that source. I did a copy and paste. Your sources are here. These are the choices for sources. Images, game capture, media source, scenes. That's your choice of sources.
Okay.
This ends up being a source, but it's defined by whatever you have. So in order to get that lower third exact same one, or if you wanted to duplicate the logo, let's say I wanted to get another logo in here, I would just copy and paste, okay, duplicate. So now I got two logos and I can put one of them down here, maybe like this. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way you have to duplicate on screen. That's the way you would do that. Or I could originally go this to image and then go out here and pick logo.
That's what I was asking. Yeah.
And then go here. Yeah, it's an existing one there. You can do that. Yes, absolutely. So now it puts a whole new one and I can put that right in between here and I can use that as my betweener, something like that, just to cover up anything if I wanted to cover up some things like that. So that is what you were asking?
Yep, that's exactly perfect. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. So I just showed you many, many different ways to get lower third in, have it as a separate scene, have it as its own thing, how to minus out. If I wanted to you could use this one kind of as a toy, just kind of have it open to have just the timer or just the score key or whatever and bring those things in that way. There's a lot of things you can do and change and make things different. I mean, a lot of things. So just to show you that you have a lot of these choices and different ways of doing a lot of the same things, you can do that. Let's go to the closing one because I want to show you how I do that like on the show. Again, now, like Bill said, what we just talked about and kind of jumped the gun, but that's good. I mean, because I want you to get that. I can go to image, and since I already have that logo as a source, I can bring that into my new one. And that's what I want to do. I want to have the closing credits. And maybe I can put text thank you, or I can put something like this. But I want to make some scrolling text at the end to recognize the people. I want to recognize anybody that did some artwork for me, or anybody that did the music, like Terry Lee Britton. I've added his music to our latest H&M show and stuff like that. So what I want to do here, this is the last one that I'm going to show you today. This is how you bring in text. Okay, so I have text GDI, and I want to call this the closing scroll. Okay. So I hit OK, and there I have it. So I have it like this. Okay. Read from a file, vertical. What color do I want? I think it defaults to white, if I'm not mistaken, but I think we'll try it and see. Thank you for joining. I can hit a space. I want to recognize Terry. Da 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 da. I'm just going to put whatever. Just you know where I'm going with, and also everyone that left a comment, etc. So I have this, okay? And what I do is I go right here. If I just do this and I have, and I'm going to make this scrolling, I'm going to come back to this and you're going to see why. What I do is I put a lot of blank spaces before this. And I'll show you why in just a second, okay? So here I have it. There's my text. I hit OK. Okay, so here I go and I have it right here. Now, I'm going to put this, and I want this to be scrolling up the whole page, okay? First of all, it's only going to scroll right here, okay? So I'm going to go right click, filter. Remember we go to filter? I'm going to hit plus, and I'm going to hit scroll. Okay, this is my scroll. I got a horizontal speed. I don't want horizontal, I want vertical speed. There you go, now I'm having it do both. So I want 0 here. I want this to be 0. Okay, hold on, 0. Okay, and there's my horizontal speed. That's pretty fast. I don't want it that fast. I just want it to be able to, there you go, just kind of scroll up and down, limit width, height, okay, and hit close, okay? The problem is it's going right back into the same thing over and over and over, and that's why I put some blank space in there. I also put the blank space in there so I can make this bigger. Right now, I can't expand this at all. So I'm going to go back to the closing scroll, and I'm going to properties. And right here, I'm going to go right here, make this a lot bigger. See how it's making the red thing in the back bigger? Do you guys see that? Do you see how it's changing? See how the red in the back is getting bigger and bigger and bigger? I can see it in the background changing. So every time I hit a space or enter right here, when I hit that, it's making it larger and larger and larger. I'm doing that on purpose, and here's why. I want that to go off screen and come back on screen. See how that's doing? So that way it goes off screen at the top and comes back on screen down below. So that's how I got it to do that, by changing. Remember, I go to this, the filters, scroll, I just select the scroll, and I can do this. I can limit the width and limit the height. I don't want to do that. I just have the scroll. I can scroll from left to right. So I have choices there how I want to do that and what I want to do. I can actually, if I wanted to, I could actually add a whole nother one. So I'm going to add plus text again. I'm going to call this one thank you. Okay, so I can put it like this. I can put thank you very much for attending my event. Okay, so now what I can do, I can actually have, I can hit OK, and then it's up here. It's not near big enough. Now, if I make this bigger like this, if I go like this, the text starts to get real blurry and stuff. So one thing that's important about when you're choosing the text inside and stuff, if I hit, if I go back and I go back here, right click and go to properties, I want to change the font size here. Here's where I want to do that, okay? I want to change it here. That's more important to me. Hit OK. Nope, not near big enough. I want to go to 48. Hit OK. Much better. That's where I want to change it there, as opposed to just changing it regular. Okay. Hit OK. Now what I'm going to do is I want this to actually be kind of smaller. I hold down the Alt key and move this over so it starts right here. Okay. And again, I'm going to right click, filters, scroll, and then I'm going to do the scroll. And I'm actually going to have this one go left to right. Okay. Let's do this. There you go. See there? Now it's just kind of, But if you look, it's all run together. See how the thank you comes in? It's all right into the other one. I'm going to right click properties, and I'm going to go in here and add a bunch of spaces. So that way it scrolls in properly. Now you see it coming from there, and it's overwriting some of this other stuff. So I need to move that over actually a little bit. Okay. And I might want to change the size of this one, so it's not overrunning this one. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. I didn't mean to crop it. I meant to actually change the size. So let's go. Yeah, let's move it over here. There we go. Okay. Everybody see how you can have the scroll going different ways and doing that different kind of stuff?
Yeah.
After
And it appeared that you could have them actually scrolling horizontal and vertically at the same time, right? So it comes in from right.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm doing.
No, but I mean one of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
You can
the
have
thank you for the Terry recognition could scroll right and left at the same time, could it not?
Yeah, it can. It can. Yeah, coming up from an angle.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. Yep. You have vertical and horizontal. So there you go. So you have all those different things, all the different things we talked about, discussed, and went through. And then again, studio mode, which is the one I use all the time. To me, it just blends and I can see everything that's going on out there. That's just the one I use. I don't really use studio mode because I have it over here, but I don't know. During production, this just seems to be the most efficient. And it doesn't matter. I can shrink this screen down. Like when I'm actually doing the game show, you'll see that I'll have the timer in the middle, and I'll have the scoreboard right here. So that way, this is me during production. You get to see. I can go reset the timer. If it's 30 seconds, I can just set this. 30, reset. So I go, okay, it's your turn, and boom, you go 30 seconds. Okay, and they did not get it right. I can go right here. I hit 1, so it automatically makes the score 9 now, and then I restart the timer. I can change the person right here. If it's a different window, I can change the person, and then I start the timer again. That's what I'm doing behind the scenes the whole time, sitting there going through. Then I can stop the timer, go over here, reset it, automatically hit the next person. Then I come in, I start the timer, and I switch the people right here. So boom, that's the production of what's going on behind the scenes. All this right here with OBS. And I have a stream deck where I can choose each one of these scenes. That's a whole different production, a whole different thing. But hopefully you learned a little bit about OBS. Does anybody have any questions over all the stuff that we covered?
I just have a question regarding dual monitors.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to open that timer and decided to get it out of your way and put it up on another monitor, it's still going to display properly?
Yeah.
Within the OBS, as long as it's a window capture, obviously. Or
yeah, I have it over on another monitor right now. Okay. So this is what you're seeing right here, right? Let me just kind of show you. I'm going to kind of show you, give you an inside scene of and Russ asked in there, I think, how many monitors I have. I have 4 monitors. So let me just show you. I'm going to show you you're welcome, Ross, anytime. Okay, so right here, this is a view of my 4 monitors. So what you're talking about over here, I have the countdown timer, which is right here. You see me moving that? I just have that over top of my browser window. My scorekeeper window is right here. Then I have voice meter that's running the sound up here. Here's my Manicam window that you're looking at right now to see what you're seeing. Then over here is a Zoom window that I have all you guys in. That's how I brought that Zoom image in. And then the main one is where OBS is right here. This is my Windows OBS right there. So that's my 4 monitors, and that's how I have it set up. If you look, I have 1, 2. 1 is the main one where OBS is. 2 is the one above it. 3 is the one to the right that you see my browser and the scoreboard and all that kind of stuff. And then left is H&M show. So to get that production to go through for me, I use 4 monitors. But yes, you could, with 2 monitors, you could physically do that because you can hide.
Right.
You can hide that stuff. So it makes it work for you. So good question, though. What other questions can I answer about OBS or anything else like that? It's been a great session. I know it was going to be a long one, but, you know, I just wanted to see if you guys have any other questions, anything else that would help you or think it would help you, because you saw me design pretty much a full production, basically, of what you could do right now with your show and how to get video in, how to get like for an intro, how to get any image in, logos, how to get lower thirds in, how to get where I put in the 2 different scenes, this window right here where you have 2 different images from the thing. You know, when I have 6 people in our game show, I can pull the 2 that are talking right up there because I take the zoom window and just take each section of that window and put it in there. Lots of stuff like that is really cool and useful as far as that goes. All right, let's see how many monitors I need to go that you use in the game show. How many monitors do I use during the game show? 4. I always use 4. Always use 4 because I have the zoom over on the left-hand side, which is over there. Okay, I have 4 over that has all my zoom and that kind of stuff. Then during production, I have the OBS. I have the OBS window, the score keeping, and the timer all in the same spot. Okay, in the main window. So I have those. And then I have over in the browser, I have open the actual live YouTube feed. So I can see that it's healthy, that it's still running, that there's no issues over there. I like to keep that window open over there during the game show just so I can see. I pop out the chat. So I have the chat as its own individual window. So when I bring up comments, I have that pop-up that just has the chat, and I can take off the top part and the bottom part, like where I type in and stuff like that. I just have the chat and the text coming in from that. So that's another window that I have open, over on that side. And then in the game show, I have to have the Hangout message box. I have all that over there too, because I'm given the word there. So I give the word to each team. I have 2 separate open window Hangout boxes where I put those words in there too. So that way I can give them the word and I can communicate with them that way. Then I have voice meter where I do the sound and things like that, how I'm controlling the sound. Like if I wanted you to hear what's going on inside the event, you'll know when the bonus round comes up because you'll have the sound. So I'll turn that on a voice meter or turn it off at other times because sometimes it gives an echo effect when you leave that on during the show. So I turn that off. So that's the only time I really go out to voice meter, but I have it there. And then my Stream Deck. I have my Stream Deck because I have that on another window up top too because I want to see the buttons. And so I have that open. I usually shrink that down though, and I shrink down the Zoom menu with the orange and blue on there. I'll shrink those down so I don't really see those during the show. Does that clarify? Make sense to you?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you
That's
see
my
video?
game show. Huh?
Can you see my video by any chance?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I can't. I just had to restore my computer, and we have a game show tonight, and I'm trying to make sure it works. Can you see the chat?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
A little unclear, but I see it. Yeah, it looks good though.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. At least to me, it's a little unclear. Maybe it's just me, but.
Yeah, I find it's a little hard to see too. It's a little faded.
Well, that's all right. What I would normally do is this. Just give me a second. What I will do for real, if I can come on Manicam, is do that.
Yep, he can highlight it, scroll it, do whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm glad you recorded this, Michael, so that when I start to do it, I can go back and follow it. Your instructions were really clear.
Good, good. That I'm glad, because that's what I wanted you to get out of it. Like I said, I try to really emphasize some of the things like I'll tell you, oh yeah, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do this because of here's what happened to me, that kind of thing. So I try to make it useful that way too. That's good. I mean, that's good. That's what we wanted to get out of it. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully you learn just a little something, if anything. I know some of us are pretty, like Scott, I know you use OBS quite often, and you're muted. I don't hear you, but, or your mic's off or something, but like I said, and that's all right. Well, and I don't mean to be an expert in anything, but I just want to show you what I do and what I know, because it comes out. I think the game show production has come a long way and actually is really good.
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's very awesome, and I learned a ton of tricks. Thanks, Michael.
Oh, good. I'm glad you did. That's a big deal to me, because that's the thing. If I got nothing to hide, I want everybody to have the same production that I have. You know what I'm saying? Or the same things that I'm doing. I just want you guys to have that same thing. So that's why I did that. That's why I wanted to do this anytime. And I'll probably do one maybe that's a little bit more advanced, but you don't need to know. I mean, once you can do this, you don't really need, I mean, I showed you how I do pretty much.
That wasn't advanced. Come on, Michael.
Yeah.
I hope you'll consider doing one in the future on the settings and actually.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about, advanced, like how to make sure your frames per second are set up properly, how to go through on the YouTube side and make sure that your streaming key and your settings and all those kind of things. I'm actually going to stop the recording just for recording purposes, because I don't want this to be 10 hours long. But
thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You're welcome. No problem.